Relax. Now you'll observe that your breathing is calmer, it is more calm. Relax. Rub your palms. Place it on your face. Feel the mother touch. And just relax. Thank you, students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good session, Pranita, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Smita, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mahesh sir, for conducting such sessions always.
All credit goes to Pranita, ma'am. Thank you,
No,
ma'am.
it is actually an opportunity for me. It is an opportunity for me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yoga teacher always say like this.
Yes, yes.
Hello, am I
Exactly, sir.
audible? Sorry to disturb. Am I
Rather than
audible?
doing yoga, I was observing Pranita, how beautifully she does. Really, it's nice.
Thank you so much. Okay, ma'am. Then I'll take a leave. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Hope,
Okay,
Thank
bye,
you very
Pranita.
much,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Am I audible? Can someone confirm?
Yes, sir.
ओके तो ऐसे ही आई होप तुम लोग को आज का सेशन अच्छा लगा हो। तो कल से हम लोग कैमरा चालू करके करेंगे तुम लोग भी, ताकि ये एक इंटरेक्टिव सेशन हो, सिर्फ वन वे सेशन ना हो। So we can also see you performing and we will do it in that way. So now we all can take a leave. Thank you very much for attending. See you tomorrow.
Hello. I request everyone to stay here. We have to continue with the session. Okay, I see few of them have left. Okay, yeah. So let's start. A very good morning to one and all. Welcome to day 2 of FE induction. Myself, Nama Kohli, and my partner, Sanskruti, will be hosting this morning session. कैसे हो तुम सब? How was the morning yoga section? I hope you guys enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, great that you have enjoyed it. अब आगे इन लोगों के लिए क्या planned है?
We have planned alumni session for them.
alumni session. मुझे ऐसे हमेशा लगता है कि ये alumni session होता क्यों है? मतलब we have just started, right? And we are hearing from such accomplished people. Bit scary, no?
No, it's not like that. Alumni session is just like knowing questions before your exams. Rick, we both know that college is just not playing or just not studying. It's an all-rounded experience. Or alumni session में our ex-students share a shortcut or two with us on how to enjoy and achieve the maximum in these 4 years.
But सच्ची पेपर के क्वेश्चंस अभी शेयर हो रहे हैं क्या?
Of course not. ये सिर्फ experience share करने के लिए. So guys, without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Neeraj Borkar. Mr. Borkar is our very own SIES GST alumni from batch 2007-2011 of Computer Engineering Department. During his time, he was an active council member as cultural team secretary Secretary of CSI Student Chapter, Captain of Badminton Team, and also an active member of IEEE and IETE student chapters. After his bachelor's, Mr. Borkar pursued a master's degree in cybersecurity and privacy from the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
He's currently a senior manager at PwC's Financial Crimes Unit and is based in Seattle. Mr. Neeraj is also a product enthusiast, a financial crimes technology expert, and has led multiple projects with companies such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Microsoft, Square, and Google. We are very, very glad to have you with us today, Mr. Borkar. The stage is all yours.
Hey, hello everyone. Glad to be back on a call with SIES folks. It's been a while, and since everything's gone virtual, it's not been easy. I haven't been able to come to India for 2 years now, so it's not as pleasant an experience. But I hope I could impart some knowledge of my experience. At SIES from over a decade ago. So quick question to you guys. How do you guys want to go about with the session? I can go ahead, talk, but ideally I'd like to make this a little more interactive. So, if you guys have questions, I'd like to start with those and answer those so that they're taken care of first rather than me just rambling along on a tangent.
I think we could also take questions through the chat section. So if you have any, we can read them out from the chat.
Yeah, I think that might be really helpful. If you guys have questions, just post it in the chat. And that way I could start answering some of them at least. Okay, Rukmangad, sorry if I'm butchering a name, but his question is what all we need to do to get in a particular team. Could you maybe expand on that? What particular team are you talking about? Are you talking in particular to the councils, or is it post SIES life? Okay, from a council perspective, ideally from a first year standpoint, you could you could just start interacting with senior folks who are already established council members, and they could help you guide through what the expectations are from a council standpoint. I graduated in 2011, so over the past 10 years, things have changed drastically. I know I work very closely with Sumitra ma'am, and she's been there guiding the rest of the council members through and through over the past 10 years. But one thing I'd suggest is if you have special skills, right? If you are good with social media interactions, if you're good with videos, if you're good with Photoshop or any such activities, I think, or even good at making a website, you could probably start with something like that, because that's an easy win, an easy way to get into knowing the council members as well as helping them with their day-to-day tasks. And that would be a good starting point for you. Eventually, it depends on how you perform, how you work with the council, how you interact with them, and what your expectations are from the council as well. Second question on that list was, can you give your introduction? The team already gave my introduction, but I'll elaborate a little more from a journey perspective. I started off in my engineering journey in 2007. It was in computer engineering, and Funnily, in the first year, I did not do that well. I had a few KTs, just letting that out. Wasn't that great, but then I think I recovered fairly quickly within my second semester itself. And then there was no looking back. After that, I started working with a few council members as a web designer, as a brochure designer. I was good with Photoshop, so that's how I started my council journey in my second year. The third year, I think I ran for the election. That's when I became the cultural secretary. And I kept on doing a lot of the other work as well. I was actively involved in IEEE. I was in IT and helped found the CSI chapter. I don't know if that's still active though. Post that, again, I used to play badminton. I used to represent my school and then eventually SIES as well at the university tournaments. That's how I became the captain as well. And I graduated in 2011. At that time, unfortunately, I did not have enough guidance, I guess. Some of my alumni, SIES alumni, did help me, but there wasn't abundance of information as you may get right now. So I ended up doing my master's in cybersecurity and privacy. And I say that I did not have abundance of information because I did not know what would happen next after my graduation. Because at that point in time in the US, cybersecurity jobs were fairly restricted to either citizens or if you had, clearance and all that fancy stuff. But however, through again the connections that I built even during my masters, I was able to get a job with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, in their analytics division, which eventually boiled down to financial crimes analytics. And ever since, I've been able to work with some of the big tech companies, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Square, Stripe. And I've also been fairly active with our council as an alumni. Last year, I did work with a few of our final year students on their final year projects. So I am planning on doing that over the next few years as well, just helping our SIS folks, gather a few industry related projects so that they can learn themselves and, they are a little more prepared when they enter the industry, either after they do their masters or right away after your bachelor's graduation. Next question: how do I get how to get placement through SIS College? That's more of a question for your current TNE placement in charge. One thing I know that people focus on heavily is your marks. If you get, if you have more than 70%, you're eligible for certain companies. If you're more than 60%, you're eligible for certain companies. If you're more than 50 for some. So I don't know if that's still the rule, but that used to be the case during our time. Hope that's changed a little, but ideally what I would suggest is you have a lot of options online right now, right? Through Capstone or through any, if you're doing data analytics, then you have other data related websites where you can actually self start a project and complete a project. And I would suggest, by the end of your final year, do any of these projects, a capstone project or something similar, so that you have additional projects under your belt when you go in for any of these interviews. Second, you should try, and again, I'm stressing on this right now itself, try and do your final year project yourself, right? Don't leave it on your team members or some third party. Try and do it yourself. Because at that point in time for you, it is just a checkbox. You may think, okay, it's just a final year project. No one's going to give a damn about this afterwards. But it is going to hurt you in the long run if you don't do your project yourself, because then you miss out on an opportunity to learn about a technology, about something yourself, and those details, will be covered in your interview process. So if you go to an interview, maybe even 5 years down the line, there is a high chance an interviewer may ask you, hey, what did you do in your project for your bachelor's, right, your final year project? What was it? What was your contribution? And they may go further deep and ask you detailed questions on the work that you did. Or if not that, it'll generally just help you from a coding perspective. If you intend to pursue coding as a career, from a coding perspective, like what the latest trends are or what to expect. Okay, the exams you gave, scholarships, etc. I did not take any special separate scholarship exam. It was mainly the regular GRE, TOEFL, those exams for my masters. Apart from that, I really did not prepare for any special scholarship exams. Could you detail what cybersecurity and its connections with IT? Okay, cybersecurity is a very, very broad field. Within cybersecurity, so I have a former SIES friend who joined PwC in their cybersecurity practice. He, according to what I know, he did a lot of penetration testing related work, code security audits, code reviews for a lot of the big banks here in New York or in the US. From a cybersecurity work perspective, again, there are different pillars where people just conduct audits and assessments on the existing systems that are in place. Then they work towards implementing new systems or new security solutions. Then they work on creating newer solutions as well. So work on essentially analyze the data from cyber breaches or cyber risks, conduct risk assessments on the network assessments, and then based on that, design certain either POVs or POVs are point of views, or write papers on it. So it could even deal with academia. One thing that overlaps with my world currently is cybercrime. So I work on something known as within the fraud domain and within the cybercrime domain, something known as account takeovers or stolen financial instruments. They are related to cybercrime or social engineering attacks. Also, one of the fields when you work in the penetration testing space is looking for gaps in your existing programs to see if someone can conduct either a social engineering attack and get through it, conduct any SQL injection attacks. There are a different section of types of attacks that can be done, zero-day attacks and a lot of vulnerability attacks. But I could talk about it in detail on some other day. But those particular types of attacks is something that I deal with from a client work perspective. And I also have an army on a separate project, an army of investigators, or close to 140 people working day in and day out just to review any of these incidents and cases and report it to the government. Firstly to Facebook itself, and then if anything crazy is identified, then that goes to the government. So there is there are a lot of varieties of cyber security related work. But to your question, its connection with IT. From an IT perspective, you could look at IT audits. You could look at security assessments. You could, and I'm not sure about the current coursework of IT, but I remember back in the day, it was fairly closely aligned with what computer engineering also did, more from a software perspective though. So you have, I think you have a subject on security as well. So closely aligns with some of those subjects, maybe which you will learn in your third and fourth year, not in the first and second year. Moving on, as you were a teenager thinking of future, there is always nervousness. How do you deal with it? Okay, you are in your first year. Don't think so much about your future. Just keep your ears open and your mouth shut is something that I believe in. When I say keep your ears open, mouth shut, is what I mean is you will hear a lot of things from a lot of people. You will gain information from a lot of seniors. Remember one thing, a lot of your seniors will talk about stuff that they've heard from other people, but I would suggest doing your own research so that you don't get nervous and anxious. When I was in engineering for the first couple of years, I really did not think about what I would do in the future. Whether I would work in India or come to the US. The first couple of years, my focus was mainly to learn as much as I could and to do well, if not academically only, but not only academically, but also from an all-round perspective, right? Be active in sports, be active in your council, gain the overall engineering experience. Engineering is not only about learning engineering skills that you can sit and do online as well, right? You have great teachers here at SIES. I'm not saying that you learn everything online. There are a lot of things that you will learn from your teachers here, but you are here to enjoy the overall experience. Now, again, with COVID interfering in all of this, I really don't know how much you'll be able to reap the benefits of that. But I'm assuming things would fall in line eventually, and everything will come back to normal soon. So engineering or your college life, at least for the first couple of years, just think about, building your network, developing your connections, just grow your friends, make friends. That's probably the only time, unless you do a master's as well, but it's probably the only time you are going to have really strong friends that you will create. So just enjoy that period. Starting in your second year, you could start thinking about what you really want to do. If you want to stay in India, or if you have the funds to do a master's, and if you want to get out of the country. That's how I thought about it. I wanted to leave India just because there were better opportunities. I'd seen my cousins come over. So that's what drove me. I think I went to a city that was fairly similar to Mumbai. I came to New York directly, which is why it was easier for me for a transition perspective. But think about all of that. Think about what works for you, what does not. And take it as the day comes, right? Don't worry. Even if you stay in India, India is booming. There are a lot of opportunities in the market. There are a lot of new companies coming up, a lot of new startups coming up. Opportunities are not going to die, and a lot of companies from the US are actually investing heavily in India. So I work with Facebook and WhatsApp on a daily basis, and they are hiring like crazy in India. So you have a lot of opportunities that are going to come in the future as well. So I would strongly suggest not to stress about these things. I know you will have some parental pressure, you'll have some peer pressure, but everyone's different. Everyone's journey is slightly different than the other person. So focus on your journey. Do what's good for you. Don't do it because everyone is doing. Just think what works for you and what does not. I have a question from mechanical engineering. Can a mech graduate get a tech job at the end by doing some small courses like IoT, AI from certain sites like Coursera? Yes, if you don't intend to stay in mechanical, since you are in the first year, I would actually strongly suggest if you could transfer your work stream to IT or computer, if that's an option, do that rather than wasting 4 years of learning mechanical engineering and not applying it at all. I understand mechanical engineering jobs are not as high in volume as computer engineering or IT or something similar. Um, but if you want, at any point in time, you could, end up in on the tech side. We have a lot of product managers. We have a lot of data analytics folks that I've worked with have nothing to do with computers or IT. They're from commerce backgrounds. They've done mechanical engineering. I have a colleague who's done chemical engineering. There are people who've done electrical engineering that I've worked with, but are on the IT side. So, and they have not even taken courses as such, right? They've gone directly through campus placements and then learned there. Of course, taking these courses is going to be helpful. You'll be ahead of the curve, but I'd strongly suggest first, if you've taken mechanical, continue with mechanical. There is a lot of scope for mechanical engineering as well. There are fewer people in that field, so there's always room for that. More people in mechanical engineering. Next question, how did you get into foreign university? Like any scholarship, what made your application stand out from the rest? I did get a scholarship at a different university, but I chose not to go to that university. The university that I went to did not have a scholarship, and there were very few universities across the US that were actually offering a master's degree in cybersecurity and privacy back then. And I really enjoyed, so I think I took that subject in my third year. I had that subject in my third year, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And that's what drove me in the cybersecurity space, on the security space. How did you get into foreign universities? So again, similar process like everyone goes through: apply, give your GRE exam, take a GRE test, take your TOEFL tests for your English vocab, and then apply to universities. I actually went to a career counselor. These career counselors who offer you packages for applications and all of that, and then they help you guide you through the application process to apply to foreign universities. So that's one thing. However, for you guys, one thing to remember, right? Eventually, a lot of your goal would be to come to the US, to stay in the US, to stay here longer, maybe get a green card. This is one thing that I am suffering through at this point, and I'm particularly using the word suffering because it's not easy, is the work visa. So once you graduate, you have about 3 years to work on a student visa. But post that, or during the course of the 3 years, your company needs to apply for something called as an H-1B visa. And if you guys have been reading news, you must have heard this term often in the newspapers or must have read it online somewhere. H-1B visas are not easy to come by. There is a cap of 85,000 visas, and there are more than 100,000 applicants across the globe applying for that 85,000 quota. It's not only Indians, it's Indians, Pakistanis, Chinese, African people, people from Europe, a lot of people, right? So from all the different countries, there are people applying for those visas. So a lot of people are actually looking at opportunities in Canada, in Australia, in Ireland, in the UK. So don't be hell-bent on the US. look at other opportunities as well. There are good opportunities outside of India in other countries as well. Can you throw some light on the future of IoT, cybersecurity, and blockchain? Interesting question. Cybersecurity is here to stay. IoT is the next big thing, and blockchain is also the next big thing. It is going to stay here for a while at least. Everything, so Internet of Things, right? Basically, your fridge is connected to the internet, your washing machine is connected to the internet, you have your house mopping device, Roomba, and all of that, that's connected to the internet. Your TV is now internet, and those things are getting a little more cheaper by the day. So more consumers can afford it, and if more consumers can afford it, more people are going to buy such devices. So you are going to have a lot more IoT devices. There are a lot more startups coming with a lot more smart applications and smart devices, smart hardware devices. So IoT is going to grow. There is no way that there's going to be any scale down movement on IoT. Blockchain is growing. There are a lot of blockchain companies that are coming up. Prime example, I also work, when I said I work with Facebook, I actually work with all of Facebook entities. I work with Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook's crypto arm, Novi. So Novi is big. The next big market, so they recently launched, they just launched a month ago. They recently got their license, and the next big market is going to be India. So India is the biggest bet for WhatsApp, for Novi, and for newer other products. You'll hear about companies such as Circle, there is Gemini, there's Paxos. If you look up these companies, all use blockchain or crypto or work on the crypto financial side of things. And even companies such as Stripe and Square are slowly moving in that direction. So everyone's looking towards crypto, and crypto is based on blockchain. So slowly people are moving towards blockchain. Even PwC, for that matter, is now, they've started auditing on blockchain as well. So blockchain's also here to stay and here to grow. And again, with everything, there is security that's going to be involved, given the number of security hacks, issues, and concerns, even privacy for that matter, because all of this information is around data, right? So there is data privacy concerns. Every country is coming up with new rules. Europe, UK came up with GDPR. There is California state that they've come up with their own rules. US is coming up with newer rules. Singapore's come out with rules. India has come out with rules. You cannot take data outside of India for more than 24 hours. So there's a lot of focus on security and privacy. So that's here to stay and here to grow. Does Extc have good job opportunities? Yes, of course. There are good job opportunities for everyone. Again, it depends on what what your interests are in the Extc space as well. Like, do you want to work on microchips, microprocessors? Do you want to build something new? Like, take IoT, for example, right? IoT is mainly hardware based. So you need to have a hardware device to be able to build an IoT. So someone needs to build that, right? So there are opportunities there. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about the chip shortage, the global chip shortage that is happening currently, because of which, if you're trying to buy a new car, if you're trying to buy new devices, a new phone, a new laptop, even an Apple Watch, if anyone's buying, they're all delayed. Everything's delayed. There is nothing being delivered in time. It's not delayed only because of the pandemic, but it is also delayed because there's a chip shortage, which is also a result of the pandemic, but mainly because of a chip shortage. Now that there is people have identified there's a chip shortage. There is going to be a global movement towards, having more chip manufacturers trying to develop or mimic the exact same microchips that have been going on. Have been pretty much monopolized by one or two vendors globally. So from an Extc job opportunity perspective, I see growth. It's of course not going to be as competitive or as in abundance as your IT and computer engineering jobs, but there's definitely more opportunities there. Would like to know, so I would like to know all about you starting from your first year of college. I think I gave that introduction at the very start, so I'll jump on to the other questions unless you have anything more specific on that. Can you explain cybersecurity in brief? Cybersecurity in brief would essentially be any device that you take, right? Any, let's say you get an email. If you don't verify your source of that email, let's say you are tricked by someone into changing your Amazon password. Someone could actually just create a fake Amazon page that looks exactly like the actual Amazon page for your retrieve password option, and send you an email stating that, hey, your password's expiring or someone's hacked into your account. They might scare you, coerce you into changing your password, and you need to change your password immediately, or call me on this number and we can change your password immediately. Any such security scare or any such event that will take away your credentials or your personal information, something that is known as PII, personally identifiable information. If anyone has access to your PII, your security is at risk, because with your PII, they can access your, let's say they have your Aadhaar card, they can access your bank account details, they can impersonate you, take money from your account, they can, post some random messages from your Facebook account to everyone. Any such activity is a cyber event, is a cyber issue, or a security issue, and that's essentially the gist of all of security, cybersecurity, that you need to ensure that your devices, or the company needs to ensure that their customers and their devices and their information is secure, is not misused by a bad actor, and is not abused by anyone on the internet. So cyber security, in brief or in gist, would mean pretty much that. How to get into core electronics jobs? How are different engineering streams interconnected in terms of jobs? It's a difficult question to answer because, firstly, I'm not sure if SIES offers core electronics. It's just Extc that I know of, electronics and telecommunication, which is slightly different from core electronics, electronics and electricals. But ideally, I think you should be able to get through your placement officers at SIES. They should be able to support you, guide you through that journey when the time comes. That's like in your third year, right? So when the time comes, they will be able to, and they should be able to guide you through that journey and what needs to be done, what can be done. But ideally, you could always look up online. I'm sure there's still Indeed.com, Monster.com, all of these websites where you could look for jobs. But the best way for you guys to look for jobs is go through your seniors, right? Either for notes, or for more information, or just through cultural fests and technical fests and sports fests and all of that. And that is why the these activities, co-curricular activities, are very important because that will help you grow your network. And with that network, you will be able to, in your future, land jobs, or just, you never know, you may be able to help someone. But your seniors should be your best bet to help you with any jobs or any referrals, so they can refer you to the company, or even help you find jobs, or help you with companies at that point in time. Okay, you were a computer engineer and now you work as a cybersecurity consultant. Does that come under CE? And if not, how did you transition? Well, it's not directly connected. It's not indirectly connected either. So it's the closest that one can get to cybersecurity, computer engineering. Because in computer engineering, there are certain subjects that I learned that helped me, or that were my basic foundations for my cybersecurity degree. SQL. That was the most important one. Java or JavaScript. I don't think we had JavaScript back in the day, but I learned JavaScript on my own. So those were like, learning those subjects were very helpful. Then the security subject, I forgot the title of the subject, but I believe it was in my 5th or 6th semester, so 3rd year. And I think Dipti Reddy ma'am was the one who taught it. So that kind of paved my way to get into cybersecurity. And I think there were a couple of other subjects here and there that did help. And I don't remember on top of my head what subjects they were. But essentially, you won't have all your subjects that will help you through your career. Like maths, M2, M3, M4. I don't think I have ever used anything that was taught from that. Maybe some part in M3 that I may have utilized for machine learning models. But apart from that, I don't think I have really utilized Fourier transformation and all of that stuff, right? All the fancy stuff, integration and derivatives, never used any of that for anything ever in the past 8 or 10 years. So you will have subjects that are helpful, subjects that may not be useful to you, but then focus on what's important, what you think might be helpful, and what you really enjoy doing, because it really matters. If you don't enjoy the subject, I would suggest not building a career out of it, because it can get quite boring. Tips for building an excellent portfolio to get into good foreign universities. I think you need to have more than academia. Academia is good. It's very good, especially if you have good grades, if you have a good GRE score. That's really important if you want to get into really good universities. But you should also have some extracurricular activities, right? You maybe sports, maybe being a part of the technical team, you're building the website or something else. Could be anything. I think there's a machine learning club or something I learned about recently, being a part of that. Whatever it may be, it should be beyond academia. Within the academia's periphery is fine, but beyond just your studies that you have or your courses that you have, it needs to be a little more than that. What things we do in our first year that's important for us? I think, like I just said, Java, C++, any of the languages that you're learning, that's most important. Physics, chemistry, all of that may not be useful unless you are going in that domain. And again, I'm not saying those subjects are not important. Learn them, understand them. If you are going to pursue a career in computers solely, these things are going to be really important. Java and C++, and I think there was BEE. That may that may be helpful for some of the Extc folks, and for mechanical engineering folks, it's going to be your drawings and mechanical engineering subject. Thoughts about working at high frequency trading companies and eligibility in applications. Are you asking about right now after graduating? It's a very broad question, so in the interest of time, I'd like to keep it more focused on our discussion. I'll move on to the next question nevertheless. Can you guide us on how to create a good network and portfolio on LinkedIn? Well, you don't really need a very good portfolio on LinkedIn to start with at this point. I would just recommend having maybe as a student, at least what I did back in the day when I started applying for my jobs was I had all my courses listed, because that's what I did, right? All my so we had on-campus jobs as well in during masters to support my day-to-day fund. So I listed all of those. I listed all my projects that I had done because it encapsulates your experience in general. So I would probably list all of that information first. Don't need to have fancy titles, right? If you are trying to show that you have 10 years of experience when you have 0, you are going to fall flat on your face. I know a lot of people expect more experience in entry-level jobs, but don't try and show you have a lot of experience when you don't. Be true to what you've done, and I think that should help you. You don't need a very fancy portfolio at this point. How much did it cost for your masters? Well, when I did my masters, the dollar was at $48, 48 rupees to a dollar, 48 or 50. Now it's almost 75. So the cost varies, but I think at that point it was somewhere around 25-30 lakh rupees. So now it must be around 50 or so, a little south or north of 50. Yeah, so maybe around 50 to 60 is what I would guess. And that includes your fees, your cost to stay, your cost to travel, all of that. And assuming that you get an on-campus job. If you don't get an on-campus or an off-campus job, then that would, the cost would go up a little more. From where have you completed your master's? I did it from New Jersey Institute of Technology. Again, it's not like the topmost universities. It's fairly low in the ranks. So my takeaway from that is your master's university need not really pave your future path for your career. Your master's, you could do it from any university that you get into. Just ensure that, once you get into a job, you network well, and that will help you grow better. Because I work with people who've gone to Stanford. I've worked with people who've not even been to college, don't have a master's degree and have a bachelor's degree from like a local community college, which is fairly low in the ranks when you look at a master's graduate. So both have done well. Both are really doing awesome. So don't treat education as it is the end all to everything. It's your key to get to your next step, but it's not the end of the world if you don't score good marks. I ran through your LinkedIn and got to know that you had experience as Microsoft student partner and software dev intern and folk. Can you guide us through how can we get internships with the big companies? What technical social skills? Okay, so Microsoft student partner happened accidentally. It actually happened through one of my juniors back then. I happened to talk to him. Again, I was in third year and he was in second year, and he was a part of this Microsoft student partner business. And that's when I learned about it. That gave me exposure to a lot more people and some of those people are doing amazingly well. One guy works at Amazon, the other person worked at Starbucks, like not delivering coffee, but at the Starbucks headquarters in Seattle. There is one person who is now a director of a unicorn startup in India. So I think the company is valued at $5 billion currently. I met a bunch of really cool people out there. So that helped me grow my network and get to know a lot of people. So I think Microsoft Student Partner as a program is still active. You don't need any strong qualifications for it. I think there were just a few check boxes and a few things that you had to get through to get into the program and to maintain that status. And I completely forgot about my Microsoft Student Partner days till he reminded me. Software development at Forbes. So again, that I got that only because of networking. I knew someone who was 3 or 4 years senior to me who knew someone else here in New York who worked at Forbes, and they introduced me to that person. And again, she's also from India. So we got to chatting. She got me a referral. She referred me into Forbes. She got me an interview, and the rest was on me to clear that interview, to score a job. I got that internship. Generally, internships are for 3 months, and because I did fairly well, I was able to convert it into something called as co-op, so that my internship went on for like 6 months instead of 3 months. So that was a good experience, and that actually helped me get a job with PwC because Forbes as a brand name was very strong, or is very strong. So that was quite helpful. Am I at time, or I think we still have 10 minutes, right?
I'm so sorry, sir, for interrupting the session, but unfortunately, we are a little short on time, so we have to end the session now.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Like if they have more questions, what I would recommend is maybe just gather all those questions in an Excel sheet or Google sheet, whatever you guys like, and send them over. I can try and respond to those questions because I see there are a lot of questions and a lot of nice questions that people have. So you may want to just create an Excel sheet and have people dump them in that and share it with me, and I can go respond to it.
Sure, we'll compile all of the questions and send them to you. So that was a great session, and we are very thankful to you, Mr. Borkar, for sharing all of your experiences and handy advice with us today. It was great.
Thank you. My pleasure. Glad I could help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Cool. Thank you. Take care. Have a good rest of the day, everyone. Bye.
So guys, ये सेशन तो हिट रहा. मेरे को जरूर लगता है कि तुम सबको कॉलेज में आके ये सब एक्सपीरियंस करना है, नई चीजें एक्सपीरियंस करनी है. आई एम क्यूरियस, तुम्हें सबसे ज्यादा क्या अच्छा लगा इस सेशन में? कमेंट सेक्शन में डालो, हम लोगों को बताओ, ताकि आगे के सेशंस के लिए हम लोग ये ध्यान में रखें. स्पैम कर दो कमेंट सेक्शन में, तुम्हारा फेवरेट पार्ट कौन सा था, तुम्हें सबसे अच्छा क्या लगा, तुम्हें क्या समझ में आया, क्या नहीं आया, सब कुछ.
Yes, हम सबके questions भेजेंगे उन्हें. Great. I'm also very happy to see कि तुम सब भी इतने interactive हो and तुम सब इतना actively participate कर रहे हो और इस opportunity का फायदा भी ले रहे हो. Good.
That's great. तुम लोग
So you got all of the
questions
info.
पूछ.
Oh, you're all very happy to ask questions. Okay, great. So now that you all got a little teaser about how your 4 years ahead are going to be, let's dive straight into understanding how these years are going to help mold a new you. अब हम सबको तो पता ही है कि in today's fast-moving world, challenges can arise at any time. And to be an effective leader, you need to be able to respond to those challenges with intelligence, strategy, and expertise. Millennials particularly consider leadership training a job work. So to help us all today with this thing, we have with us Mr. Vidhu Sharma. Mr. Sharma is an accomplished HR professional, OD consultant.
Sanskriti, please wait. Let's check whether sir has joined. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, should I continue?
Yeah. Yes, Sanskriti.
Okay. So Mr. Sharma is an HR professional, OD consultant and academician with 25 plus years of industry experience. During this time, he has worked with Abbott, Novartis and Diebold Nixon. He also worked as HR advisor and business coach for MSMEs.
He was a leadership trainer with Tata Institute of Social Sciences for PSUs. He has trained over 5,000 participants in last 15 years. He served as a Vice President Human Resources of Asia Pacific region with Diebold Nixdorf in China for 9 years. He serves as a Sevak with Chinmay Mission, Navi Mumbai.
Yes, and he did not stop at any of this. He is very qualified and is certified in many fields like NLP practitioner, emotional intelligence analyst. So it is also very, very closely associated with our college and has been interacting with all of our students since 2018. Mr. Sharma, we are very grateful and honored to have you here with us today. Please take the stage.
Thank you for the excellent introduction. So good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to this first year induction program. I'm really happy to be here to be a part of this session today. Before we get started, I did watch briefly the talk by Mr. Neeraj Borkar. I was party to it. I was hearing him out, and that was really excellent insights and inputs what he shared with all of you. How do you want to move ahead? Do you want to know something on today's topic about interpersonal skills as a model which I can share with you, or do you want to have a Q&A session? How do you want to do that? I can share my experiences. I can also share a model which will be a kind of a skill development for you that can help you to learn few tricks how to really upgrade your social skills or interpersonal skills. Okay, so the model both. Okay, so we'll try to do that. We'll get started with the model quickly, and then we'll try to have some time for a Q&A session. Okay, I hope that sounds good with you, Arav, because I'm seeing a mixed feedback out here. Yeah, so we'll try to blend both. Let me first try to see if I can get my screen up and running, then I'll be able to share the model with you. Otherwise, I'll have to ask Kantimati ma'am to share the screen on my behalf. So ma'am, no, I cannot share the screen. Okay.
Sir, yeah, just a moment. I'll share the screen for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So till the time ma'am is sharing her screen. Ma'am, if you can mute yourself, that will help.
Sorry?
If you can mute yourself.
Yes, sir. The moment I present it, I'll mute myself. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. Thank you, ma'am. We can move on to the second slide. Request control. Okay, let me see if I can get a control over here and I can manage myself. So the model is actually about the people styles. It's a social skill model. But before we get into that, what I would like to do is I would like to talk about a story of two interns. So in an organization, there were two interns, you know, like all of you, you are students right now. Once you graduate, you complete your engineering, or maybe in your third year itself, you know, you'll get an opportunity to go and do an internship. So there were two interns who joined my organization. Now, both of them came from the same institute. Both of them were academically very solid, you know, brilliant engineering students. And they came in and they started working in the software development organization. We had one team where we did software development on a captive basis. One of the girls was really outgoing, social, in the sense she was very interactive, communicative, asking questions. The other guy, he was very intelligent, but he kept to himself. He kept quiet. He came, did his job, did the work, and did it perfectly. He was like rock solid in terms of the work. Very good analytically, very good in problem solving skills. The girl was also good. She did things, but she also interacted and communicated with a lot of seniors, within the organization. I would say her skills were equally good, and but she was quite interactive and communicative with the people. She used to ask a lot of questions, to an extent, sometimes people used to get irritated why she's asking a lot of questions. But she was very chatty and smiley, and she got things through. At the end of the internship, the decision came in terms of we had one open head count and we wanted to hire one position. So the question was raised to the management team, who do we hire? The mid-management team, who do we hire? What do you think? What do you think would have been the response of the management team? Who would have got the role for this particular one position of a software engineer within the organization? The girl or the boy? You can put in the chat box whatever your thoughts are. Right, so most of you are saying the girl. And I mean, it's very easily predictable that social skills is something that really helps you, to get the job. So fundamentally, when we talk about performance from an organization perspective, performance is not what you do. It's basically also how you do. So what is the results that you get, and how is actually the behaviors, the skills that you bring in onto the table. Mr. Borkar really mentioned, it's not about academia, it's more about other things. What are these other things? These other things are called as community action services that you do. I mean, for kids who have done international schooling, they would know it really well. But we are talking about what are you giving back to the community? How active you are in the social circle, what kind of programs you're organizing, what kind of services you're rendering to the society, right? What other activities you are getting involved in. That is what is looked at when you apply for your MS degree overseas. The reason I picked up on that, because a lot of you had those questions related to international program in terms of doing MS and so on and so forth. My son, he studied internationally for, I think, his entire, entire schooling till 12th standard. And then subsequently he went to US for his undergrad program. And now he's completing his MS from US itself. Most importantly, one thing which I learned from him, and I'm saying I learned from him, is that never ever jump into a postgrad program till you experience, till you get an experience in any organization. And the reason was I kept on insisting him, because I come a little bit from an old school mentality, get your education through and then just go and do the work. And he said, well, I want to really figure out what specialization I want to do. I need some time to really get a feel of how the organizations work like. So he worked for 2 years as a programmer. And then subsequently he took over, he made up his mind and he went in for data analytics, and he's completing his MS in data analytics right now from University of Washington in Seattle. So just to help you understand, the reason why he was so insistent that I want to get an experience and a flavor of what really I need as a skill set, because that actually helped him Now, when he has got into the MS program, he's into multiple activities. Some of you were talking about scholarships. Some of you were talking about, how do I really go about in ensuring what would be the cost of the program, which I definitely understand. It's an important factor, when you're making a determination. Just to add to what Mr. Borkar said, if you get into a college and if you get into the into some kind of work in the college, okay, you can also get into something called as teaching assistant job. Now, some of the universities, they actually waive off your entire fees for that semester if you're doing a teaching assistant role. Now, how do you get to that? The professors don't look at your technical qualification alone. They look at you overall as an individual. And that is where the social skills really become important, that you bring on the table when you are applying for those when you're applying for those jobs within the college itself, right? So moving on. Okay, how do I move this, ma'am? I would need your help. I can't move the screen. Okay. Sorry for that. Right. So when we talk about skills, you always have a choice. Do you want to become a Raju of Three Idiots, or do you want to become Ranchhod Das, that is Amir Khan of Three Idiots? Moving on to the next screen. My introduction has been given in brief, but 2 points I wanted to cover over here, which is very important. Number one, being a learner is for life. Okay, never ever think that you have sufficient education, because learning is not about education. Learning is always from the environment, from the society, from the people that you are with. Okay, and number two, when you are learning, also remember to give back to the society, to give back to others. So try to become a mentor to other people. When you become a mentor, when you try to guide and help others in the process, you are learning a lot. And that is what I keep on doing. Apart from my consulting and coaching and training work, I do teach in Somaya Institute of Management Studies and Research over there. And I also mentor a lot of HR professionals and students, because I come from an HR background. And I continue to learn with various psychometric assessments that I keep on upgrading my skill sets and training myself. So that is really important. As we continue. Moving on to the next screen. So the fundamental question comes up is, how do you get work done? Any work, whether it's in the college, whether it's in the, in the organization. Ma'am, if you can keep on clicking, that would be helpful. So you get work done through relationships. It's never your IQ which will help you to get things done. It's also your EQ, the emotional quotient, right? Where the social skills or the interpersonal skills really come into play. So the work is always done through the team. The work is always done by working with the other person who's there. So the question then comes up is, what is interpersonal skills? As we move on to the next slide. And next, yeah. So effectively translating and conveying information is a part of your interpersonal skills. Ability to interpret other people's emotions. So there's many times, there are signals which we receive, but we don't recognize those signals. And we continue to communicate or just rant out, what's on our mind. That doesn't really help out, right? Interpreting other people's emotions is really, really crucial and important. Being sensitive to other people's feelings is really important, really understanding and picking up those cues in the body, from the body language, from their feelings, from their emotions, and then accordingly, working with them actually helps us to become more effective, whether in a college or whether at workplace. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. Thank you. Now, the question you would ask is, so what are the benefits, of these social skills? I mean, I'm sure all of you know about the benefits. It ranges across, right from your personal relationships, when you are communicating with a friend or with a team member or in your family, or when you're working in a college for a particular function, or when you are at work, it really helps you to build solid relationships. Okay, it helps you to understand about others' perspectives. So as we move on to the next slide, interpersonal skills are for life. Okay, it's not that, see, again, let's understand, as engineers, you will be rock solid, when you pass out from the college, because by that time you would have developed your analytical skills. You would have developed really logical thinking, I mean, a lot of rational thinking, reasoning, those skills you would have developed. But in the process, what you also need to work on is to develop your social skills. Okay. And when we talk about social skills, what that really means is how you communicate. I mean, Mr. Borkar talked about, my mantra has been listen and keep your mouth shut, right? That is the reason the God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen more and speak less. And that really works in any domain of your life, right? Interpersonal skills include teamwork. It includes staying positive. It includes questioning. It includes resolving conflict. And most importantly, it includes decision-making skills. Now, when we are talking about this, all we are doing is, while working with others, while communicating with others, while interacting with others, we learn, and this is where you can apply. So moving on to the next slide. I have been a chess player, and I played and represented my college. I played at a university level. I had the opportunity when I was in China to play chess with Vishwanatha Anand. Okay, so he was visiting, and we had this, friendly game of around 20 people sitting around in a circle and playing chess. So he used to move around, around the tables, and he used to just make one move, and he used to keep on doing that. Now, we can never win from him, but the intention and the objective was not to lose from him. So it was basically a round whereby 20 minutes, and within those 15 to 20 minutes, out of 20 people, 16 people got knocked out. I was the lucky one who survived. So 4 of us, we survived. It's not about chess. It's all about understanding, essentially, like in the chess pieces, every piece is different. It has got a different move. Similarly, in life, every person is different. They have different communication styles. They have different background. They come from a different historical background. They behave differently. Their mannerisms are different. It's very easy to push back and reject people. Very easy. You can refuse. I don't want to work with you. I don't want this. I don't want that. Right. But what is really important is to understand other person, flex your own behavioral style to work with the other person and build stronger relationships. That is what interpersonal skills are all about. And that is what we are going to see now in a minute about. So please grab a pen and paper, because that is something what you would require as we go through a quick exercise. Ma'am, can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay. Yeah. He who knows others is learned. He who knows himself is wise. And we need both. That's a quote from Lao Tzu. So we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, we'll skip this one. We'll move on to the next. Yeah, let's hold on for a minute over here. So I hope everyone has grabbed a pen and paper. And what I would request you to do is to prepare a table of 5 columns and 12 rows. Okay, so 5 columns and 12 rows. Quickly just take a piece of paper and put it over there. Show me a thumbs up or just say Y in the chat once you have done. Just say Y in the chat once you are ready. Okay, thumbs up coming. Okay, wonderful. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. I'm glad you have a pen and paper and you have prepared the table. Okay, ma'am, can we click on to the next one? Yeah. So one more click, ma'am, please. Thank you. Okay, let's hold on. Now, let me give you the instructions what you have to do. Okay. See, in the first row, you can see there are 4 words which are given. The words are planner, idea generator, accommodating, action oriented. What I want you to do is really write down the word in the appropriate section, in the appropriate column, which best describes you. So a planner is somebody who would plan, right? Who loves doing planning. Idea generator is who has got a lot of ideas, who will throw up a lot of ideas. Accommodating is more about, who agrees and accepts and accommodates people's request. Action-oriented person is who's very active and is always on the move, full of energy, trying to do things. Now, you may feel that all the 4 words apply to me, or more than 3 words apply to me, or more than 2 words apply to me, but I would like you to choose only one in each row. Okay, so in this row, just choose one and put it under that particular column, write it down. Okay, so let's say under A, if somebody says I'm accommodating, you tick over there or write accommodating, whatever you are comfortable with. But at the end of the exercise, you will have to total the number of ticks in each column, the number of words you have chosen in each row. You will have to add column by column. Are the instructions clear so far? Thumbs up or say Y in the chat box, whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Let's click. Let's do another mouse click. And here you go. Is the entire list. Okay. So row by row, you have to go. Every row, there will be one tick, not more than one tick. Okay. Or one word in every row, but under the appropriate column, you have to choose. So we'll give you another 3 to 4 minutes, to quickly complete this exercise. Do not overthink. Whatever you feel like is you, just stick on it. We'll take 3 minutes to complete this exercise. Okay, we have 1.5 more minutes remaining. For those who have completed, they can add the total by column. So let's say under T, you had chosen around 6 or 7 words, then the total will come as 6 or 7. Under E, it might be only 1. Under A, it might be 2. And under M, it might be 1. So just add all of them and add as a grand total to cross-check your number of ticks or words should not exceed 11. Because per row, it was only 1 word. So just do the total and do a cross check. We'll take 30 more seconds before we move on to the next slide. Yes, there are only 11, Dhruv, you're right. So per column, let's say for T it was 5, for E it was 3, for A it was 2, right? And for M it was 1, so the total comes as 11. But we'll have to look per column, which is your highest score. Yeah. So per column, what is your highest score? 2 to 4, 3. Thank you, Sheikh, for sharing that. So 4 is A, that is your highest. OK, so I hope most of you have completed. Let's move on. Thank you, Bhageshri. Yes, A is 5. So we'll move on to the next slide, and then you will have an opportunity to look at whichever is your highest is your style, is your primary style. So T stands for thinker, E for energizer, A is for amiable, M is for master. What are the meaning of these words? We will look at it in a minute. But right now, what you have is the highest score in the column. So let's say Anushka is saying 5, and I believe 5 is for T. So she's a thinker. Ma'am, can we click? Right? So based on this, you know which is your dominant style or your primary style. Please type out in the chat box, what is your primary style? So like Anushka, I think, okay, Aditya is saying 7, so he's a thinker. Okay, Vedika is saying 4 is her highest, so I believe she's an energizer. So please type it out. Great, so we have thinker and amiable. Yes, if there are 2, it's okay. The same number, same value. Energizer, master, amiable. Yeah, Sakshi or Nikhil, you may want to type in which is your highest. So Yash 333. That's a difficult one. Okay. You will understand, Yash, when we start looking at each style, you will understand who you really are. You may be able to choose between the 3 that mostly it looks like this, that this is who I am. This is what I normally prefer to demonstrate as a preferred style. Okay. Yeah, Chandana said 1523. So 5 is an energizer. Adinath Patel is an amiable and a master. Okay. 5 is an amiable. That is Shivank Raj. Great. So we can move on to the next slide and start to understand what do we mean by that quickly. Right. Ma'am, can we play the video first before we get onto this slide? The video 1.
Yes, sir. Just a moment.
Sure.
Anchal, are you sharing? I'll stop my sharing. Yes, you share now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So Apurva is saying 6. He's a thinker. Okay, Akshija, amiable. Yash, yeah, amiable. So it's primarily 6, which is the highest. You can play the video, ma'am. So let's look at this video.
हाँ बाबूजी, कहाँ जाओगे? बेलापुर, नामपुर, फतेहगढ़, रामगढ़, कहाँ जाना है बोलो?
तांगा नहीं देखा पहले? ये गांव खेड़ा है साहब, यहाँ मोटर गाड़ी नहीं मिलेगी कि बैठे और गर्र से चल दिए। यहाँ तो बसंती का तांगा ही चलता है। देखो, मुझे बेफिजूल बात करने की आदत तो है नहीं। चलना है तो बोलो चलना।
अरे भाई हमको तो चलना है।
नहीं चलना है तो ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं। आप बसंती से कोई दुश्मनी तो नहीं हो जाएगी। तुम बाहर निकले तो मैंने सोचा कि तांगा करोगे तो पूछ लिया। अब कोई जबरदस्ती का सौदा तो है नहीं। बैठे बैठे नहीं बैठे नहीं बैठे। अरे ये तो बसंती का तांगा है, किसी जमींदार की बेकारी थोड़ी है कि मर्जी न मर्जी करना ही पड़े। तो आज तो वही मिसाल हो गई कि
हाँ चलिए, चलना है यार।
हाँ हाँ तो आ जाओ, मैंने कब मना किया? देखो, मुझे बेफिजूल की बात करने की आदत तो है नहीं, इसलिए पहले ही से बोल देना अच्छा है। बेलापुर का 2 रुपया और रामगढ़ का 1.5 रुपया, इसमें झिझक मत करना। बसंती जो बोल गई सो बोल गई। हाँ
तो ठीक है, हम तो
हाँ समझ गई। तो यही पूछोगे ना कि बसंती बेलापुर का 2 और रामगढ़ का 1.5 क्यों? तो पूछोगे तांगा किस गांव का है? पूछो पूछो।
किस गांव का है जी?
रामगढ़ का है।
अच्छा, तो रामगढ़ का है।
क्योंकि देखने वाली बात ये भी है कि अगर हम बेलापुर की सवारी लें तो 2 चक्कर हो जाते हैं। यहाँ से बेलापुर, बेलापुर से रामगढ़, और अगर रामगढ़ गए तो समझो रामगढ़ गए, क्योंकि तांगा भी रामगढ़ का है और हम भी रामगढ़ के हैं। ये तो हुई हमारी बात। अब ये बताओ कि तुम कहाँ जाओगे?
यूं के हम भी रामगढ़ ही जाएंगे।
हाँ हाँ तो चलो, मैंने कब मना किया? क्योंकि वहाँ किसके घर जाना है ये तो बताना ही पड़ेगा कि बसंती उस घर को ले चलो। क्योंकि अगर हमको ये नहीं पता कि तुमको जाना कहाँ है तो हम तांगा रोकेंगे कहाँ? और अगर हमने तांगा नहीं रोका तो तांगा रुकेगा कैसे? क्योंकि देखने वाली बात ये है कि तांगा चला कौन रहा है? तांगा हम चला रहे हैं। और अगर हम ही ये न जाने
ठाकुर बलदेव सिंह के घर जाना है।
हाँ हाँ तो चलो, मैंने कब मना किया? तो फिर बोलो ना ठाकुर साहब के घर जाना है। चाहे मान लो, क्योंकि ये तो वही मिसाल होते हैं। तो आप समझो ये कि माँ बाप तो हमारे पूरे से नहीं है। और फिर मौसा के बाद मौसी और तांगे की जिम्मेदारी किस पर आ गई? हम पर आ गई। लोग हमसे ये भी कहते हैं कि बसंती लड़की होकर तांगा चलाती हो, तो हम उसका जवाब ये देते हैं, खन्नो घोड़ी होकर तांगा खेल सकती है तो बसंती लड़की होकर तांगा क्यों नहीं चला सकती? बोलो।
इसमें क्या बात है? शहर में भी तो लड़कियां मोटर गाड़ियां चलाती है, उन्हें कोई कुछ नहीं कहता।
रहने वाले शहर के हो, लेकिन समझदार लगते हो। क्या नाम है?
वीरू।
तुमने ये नहीं पूछा कि हमारा नाम क्या है?
तुम्हारा नाम क्या है बसंती? चुप है, जब देखो बकवास करता है।
क्योंकि हमने आपसे तो बात नहीं की थी, लेकिन अगर हमसे ये पूछ ही लिया तो हम बता ही देते हैं हमारा नाम बसंती है।
पहली बार सुना यह नाम। बसंती? बड़ा प्यारा नाम है।
हमारा नाम बसंती क्यों रखा गया? इसके पीछे भी एक बात है।
क्या बात है? बताओ बताओ।
वह ये कि जब मैं छोटी सी थी तब मौसी के देवर की सास ने कहा,
क्या कहा?
रक्षा सवार। हाँ, ये ठाकुर साहब की हवेली। यूं ही कमाल हो गया, तुम लोगों की बातों में रास्ते का पता ही नहीं चला।
हाँ, हमें जरा बात करने की आदत ज्यादा है। ये रहा तुम्हारा 1.5 रुपया।
यूं कि तुम आदमी अच्छे हो, पैसा तो लेना थी, लेकिन अगर घोड़ आपसे दोस्ती कर ले तो खाएगा, इसलिए हम ये 1.5 रुपया ले लेते हैं।
बहुत मेहरबानी आपकी।
Okay. I think we can stop the video. Go back to. I think we can go back to the slide. I see there are some people who are raising hands. Do you have any questions? Yeah, Sanjana, do you have any question? You can ask your questions in the chat also, if you have any. Sanjana, I see your hand has been raised. If you have any question, you can ask in the chat, or otherwise you can lower the hand. Okay. Yeah. Sanjana, we can hear you. Okay, fine. So I believe by mistake you have put in. So I'll continue with this slide. So who is an energizer? So E stands for energizer. Who's an energizer? Energizer is somebody who wants to be recognized. The person is very stimulating, outgoing, very enthusiastic, can also be impulsive at times, unstructured. You know, they don't have a structure in communication, the way things are going on. They are not very organized or structured, right? But they enjoy conversations and they want a lot of activities to happen. So like if you go to a party and you see there are 3 or 4 people who go right onto the stage and start dancing and having fun and are talking very loudly, you know that that person is a energizer. Okay. Now, who do you think is Energizer in this particular movie clip? You can type it in the chat box. Who do you think is an Energizer in the movie clip? Sholay. Yeah, keep going, keep going. Right, it is Basanti. You're absolutely right. So Energizers, what is it that they expect from others? You know, when they are communicating, when they're working, what are they expecting? They expect others to be open to their ideas. They will have a lot of ideas and they want others to be expecting that others should accept the ideas. They want to have fun and they want attention of the other people. They also want that others should approve of their ideas and they want others to talk and communicate. If somebody is sitting quiet, or let's say there are 5 people and out of 5 people, 4 of them they are keeping quiet and one of them is Energizer, the Energizer will get bored, will walk out of that particular place. I mean, cannot continue over there. Now, they bring a lot of strengths onto the table, right? So what others can expect from other Energizers, that they are good form of entertainment. And you need these people, you know, to keep lot going, to laugh, to have fun, to have play when you're working or when you're doing things. Because these are the Energizers are the people who create a lot of positive climate, you know, within the team. And they are also very good selling the ideas. So if you are an Energizer, think about making a career in sales. Okay, I mean, you will be a super hit out there. Okay, if you are an Energizer, think about making a career in public relations. You will be a super hit, whatever involves being around with people. Okay, so that is what is an Energizer. Let's move on to the next slide. Who is an amiable? Now, amiable is somebody who is very supportive. Somebody had asked me that question. Yeah, please. I mean, can you share these slides afterwards? Yes, please. I mean, it's already available with Kantimati ma'am, and she can convert it into a PDF and send the slides to you. I mean, that's free to use, and you know, feel free to revert back if you have any queries. I'll be sharing my WhatsApp contact details, you know, at the end of the session. So if anyone wants to be sure, I mean, amiable is the one who wants to be sure. They are low risk people. They are supportive people. They are agreeable. They are very careful because they don't want to break relationships. They are the people who want to build trust and relationships. Now, it may seem that amiable people are the one who get easily influenced because they want harmony. They don't want any discord. They don't want any conflict. You know, they prefer harmony. They want everyone should be happy, should have harmony, cordial, environment should be there, right? So what amiables really expect from others, they expect the respect from others. The environment and the climate should be respectful. They want recognition from others, okay? And they want cooperation from others, and they want to ensure that people don't hurt their feelings, not use any harsh words or methods to hurt their feelings, right? So amiable are they're people oriented, right? Very people oriented people. And most of the people in this world you will find are amiables, okay? What others can expect from them, others can expect a lot of support. You know, think about a friend. When there is a need of a friend and you want somebody to help you out, you know, who you can depend on, preferably that is an amiable. Okay, so you can really depend upon them they will be participative in decision making, and they would like to make people-based decisions, right? So that is amiable. Now, who do you think is an amiable in this movie clip, Sholay? Yeah, there you go. Viru. Viru is a real amiable character, which is seen in that, which you can see in this particular scene. Okay, so Viru is an amiable character. Let's move on to the next slide. So spot on. Thinkers. Okay, so thinkers, they want to be right. Okay, they are distant and yet they are formal and logical in their approach. They can be very conservative also. And sometimes they love to gather data and information to a point where they can become indecisive, right? So thinkers are the people who will be very specific to the point. They're very analytical in their nature, right? And what do they really expect from others? They expect from others plenty of time to do work. Okay, don't rush me, let me do it easily at my own pace. Do work in a very methodical manner, step by step. And they need proper instructions to get the work done. So that is what thinkers are, and what others can expect from thinkers is a well thought out action plan. So if you are a thinker and you are really thinking that, what kind of a career I want to take up after engineering, think about project management. Okay, because project managers are the people who are well structured, very analytical. They get into the details, or even a software programmer or anything which requires real in-depth focus, right? A lot of accuracy, a lot of perfection. R&D engineer, that is another way of going about it. So thinkers can really become good at that. Now, all styles of people can become good in all the jobs. Okay, so don't get me wrong. But the point out here is where you can maximize your strength or your natural behavior style is what I'm suggesting to you. So thinkers are the one, they can deliver on time, they can do good planning. I mean, that is what they expect from others. Let's do a good planning, let's do an accurate report, let's deliver on time. That is what thinkers are expecting from others. I won't say they are calculative because sometimes calculative is used in negative term. Okay, but they are really analytical. They can break a big situation into pieces and look piece by piece by piece. So who do you think is a thinker in this particular movie clip? I think there's only one character left, right? So yeah, thinkers, they can get into startups. Absolutely. Yeah, there you go. Jay, Amitabh Bachchan, he's a thinker because think about it, when he was very specific and to the point, he was sticking to the facts. Okay, and yet it was a comedy which was going on because there were three characters interacting with each other with three different styles. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Next slide. In the want of time, I will not go to another movie clip, but I'm sure you can make a guess, by reading this. So masters, who are the masters? Masters are the people who are result oriented. They want to be in control. They are very impersonal. They are very demanding. They can be factual. They can be impatient. Their focus is on efficiency. In less time, let's get the maximum output. Okay, and they are specific. They want communication to be on the point. And sometimes they can come across threatening to others. Others may feel threatening, in their presence sometimes. Okay, so what do really masters expect from others? They expect from others that others should follow their direction. Others should really act with speed. Okay, others should deliver results. Others should be specific. They should have an independence to work. And masters want autonomy, right? Autonomy and empowerment is really good. Keep things on track. Focus on business results is what they expect from others. Okay, now. Masters, yes, masters can be consultants, master can become real good leaders. By the way, all the styles can become real good leaders. Okay, some of the best leaders have been amiable people. Okay, because they are very people oriented and they love to listen to others. They listen a lot and then they make decisions. and they think from people perspective, and then they go about making decisions. So amiables can be successful in any job role. There is nothing specific that I would say that amiable should pursue, right? They can be successful in any job role. So do masters. You can see, I mean, like Indra Nui, if you have heard about the name, you know, she was the CEO of Pepsi. She is real. If you look at her and if you look at her autobiography and her interviews, you will find that she is a very good combination of a master and energizer. So she's a good combination of that, right? Think about any other people and you can identify from these 4 styles, they are one, or they can be a blend of 2 styles, but blend of 3 styles is really, really very rare. I mean, we don't find that. Okay. So a blend of 2 styles is there. So let's say, for example, in the entire Sholay movie, if you think and you look at the character of Amitabh Bachchan, which is Jay, you may find him that he's a combination of thinker and master. Okay, so thinker and master, more of a thinker, but also a bit of a master characteristics you can find. Similarly, Dharmender, who's Viru, you can find he's an amiable and a bit of an energizer, right? So there is a blend you can find in certain scenes. Yeah, Elon Musk, master, you're right. So master, a lot of people have already said out here is Thakur. Okay, is Thakur. There is another character who's a master in the entire Sholay movie. Can anybody guess apart from Thakur? Sanjeev Kumar is the Thakur who has played the master character in the entire movie. Yeah, there you go. Gabbar Singh, very true. Gabbar Singh is another character, right? Now, somebody asked a question. According to me, what is the better style? Please understand, there is no good or bad style. There is nothing like a better style. All of us have grown up in a particular environment. All of us have got certain preferences in life. You know, so far, by the time we have come to this college, we have got certain programs and maps built up in our mind already. And based on that, our behaviors are coming out. So there is nothing like a good or bad. What is important is to be aware of who we are and how and what is the style of the other person and accordingly interact with the other person. That is what is important. Behaviors can be flexed, right? You can flex a behavior for some time. What you cannot flex is your characteristic, your trait. You cannot flex, okay? But a behavior you can flex. You know other person, let's say you are a thinker and you know another person is energizer. You can flex your behavior to work with other person for some time because you know what the other person wants you to listen to his or her ideas. You can try that for some time, right? And do that and practice it. So flexing is really good, you know, as a behavior. And that is the reason why we are learning this particular model. Ma'am, can we move on to the next slide? Okay, when we do not understand other people's styles, okay, and we try to impose our style on other people's, then we get into a conflict. So can we move on to the next slide again? So how do you really identify in simple ways what is the style of the other person, right? You ask a question, is the person talkative? The answer, if it is yes, then you ask another question. Is the person aggressive? On the left hand side, see the chart, how it's flowing. If the answer is yes, so if it's talkative, it's aggressive, then probably the person is an energizer. If the answer comes, the person is talkative, but not aggressive, then probably the person is amiable. If the answer is the person talkative? And the answer comes as no, then you ask a question, is the person aggressive? If the answer is yes, that the person is not talkative yet aggressive, then probably he is a master or she is a master. But if the person is not talkative, neither aggressive, then probably the person is a thinker, right? So this is a chart which will help you to quickly map out and understand what is the other style of a person, and flex your behavior to work with other person. That is interpersonal skills. That is social skills, how you use it to accomplish and achieve the desired objective or the goal that you have. Okay, so can we move on to the next slide? I'll take one more slide and then I'll stop. Yeah. Can you click, ma'am? Yeah. Okay. Now, you will see that in the movie also, in the movie clip also, you saw that, you know, Amitabh Bachchan and Hema Malini, that is Jay and Basanti. Jay is a thinker, Basanti is an energizer, but they were not gelling very well. So there is a kind of a natural pushback to each other, right? You can see in that movie clip, and that is what happens between thinker and energizer. Because thinkers are detail-oriented people. Energizers are big picture, idea-oriented people. So there is a natural kind of a pushback towards each other's style. Similarly, a master and a person who's accommodating, master is more of a dominating kind of a person, more of a competing kind of a person, tends to dominate and overpower the amiable people, right? So there is sometimes, you know, amiable people, they keep on accepting, and after long time, you know, there is a outburst, emotional outburst can happen, right? Because the masters have been dominating. You can see that in the relationships. You can see it in home. You can see it in offices. You can see among friends, you know, that these kind of things, they happen. Suddenly somebody who's very quiet, very docile, very amiable, very cooperative, you know, suddenly there is an outburst. You know, your siblings, for example, a brother or a sister, suddenly an outburst. You know, what happened? What went wrong? You can understand, you know, somebody was trying to dominate and push for a long time, right? So normally they are in conflict. So these are the natural conflicts which come. One has to be mindful while working with other person. So I think we are at 11:15. I would like to take a pause and now open for questions with respect to interpersonal skills. Great, Anushka, you're an amiable. And Narale says, Udayraj, I'm a thinker. Okay, so questions. We can take questions now with respect to your social skills. By the way, emotional intelligence requires social skills, but it also requires self-awareness. Okay, so it's a combination of both. Here today, we are talking about interpersonal skills or social skills, which is more to do with while relating with other people, while interacting with other people. Dhruv says, I'm an empath. Good. How can we develop more cooperation in different styles? Very good question, Kiran. So, while doing more cooperation with other styles, you first need to understand what the other person's style is. Let's say if you are an amiable and you are interacting with a master, you understand this person is a master. His style is he or she wants very specific communication, to the point, no nonsense, focused on result and task, not so much on people, right? Then accordingly, you need to work with that person, flex your own behavior to be specific in the communication, talk to the point, talk about the outcome or the project or the result that needs to be achieved, okay? And listen more rather than telling more to the other person, right? Don't talk, be professional like. Don't talk about, you know, what happened yesterday at home or what happened with my friend and what is this, and be to the point, right? So that is the way how you can communicate better with other styles. Similarly, if as an amiable, you are communicating with a thinker, you know, thinkers like planning. They are again factual. They are very specific. They're not so specific, but they are very factual, and they will ask questions because they don't want to be wrong, right? They are task-oriented people. So what they will do, you have to not talk about things here and there, but talk about the task at hand, what needs to be accomplished. Okay, you should talk to them very accurately. Whatever the data, you should talk to them with data. Okay, then they will listen to you. So that is what is really important, how you interact and communicate with different styles. Okay, let me see. There was another question. How to deal with masters? With masters, what you have to do is you have to develop a sense of mutual respect. Masters, what they love is they love efficiency. So if you demonstrate efficiency in your work, if you demonstrate efficiency in the way you are doing things, they will love that. In lesser time, more output is what they really like about the other person. And they like a lot of respect. Okay, so while working with a master, respecting the master, being conscious about his or her time, being efficient will help you become more respectful in the eyes of the master. Okay, so master will start valuing you if he sees that you are efficient, you are being specific, you value his time, and he can get a lot of things done. Okay, so when I was growing up with my father being a master. Right, so his style was that of a master. So I had to flex my behavior style to match with his style. And I was more of a thinker when I was growing up, when I was in college, when I was a kid, I was more of a thinker. And I had to keep on flexing my style while working with my father, while communicating with my father. I had to be very to the point, very specific, with very conscious about how I'm using my time for playing as well, for doing extracurricular activities as well as for studying. And that is what he really valued, right? So that is how you typically work with a master. Somebody asked a question. I'll take that question. Who do thinkers gel with more? Thinkers really gel more with thinkers themselves. People who are the same style people, they will gel with the same style people. Right? So thinkers will gel more with thinkers. Amiable will gel more with amiables. Masters will gel more with masters. They can gel more with masters, or they can get loggerheads or conflict with masters also. Right? I mean, that is one category which can really clash and conflict with their own style. Energizers will gel with more energizers. When we are talking about is being amiable personality good for oneself for the long run, like I said, there is nothing like good or bad. Okay, you can be productive and effective as well as efficient if you learn how to flex and work with others by understanding their style. So let's talk about a salesman who is the most successful salesperson, right? I'm not asking a name. I'm just asking about the qualities of a successful salesperson who can listen to the problems of the people, who can really understand what others require. And by the way, we are selling in all the aspects of our life, in all the roles of our life, whether you are a son or a daughter or a brother or a sister or a student, you have been selling through and through in your life. You have been selling a concept, you have been selling an idea, you have been selling your story. Where were you last night when you were out partying with your friends and your parents are asking, where were you? So you are selling through and through. And a good salesperson is the one who understands and reads the other person's style, and he's able to flex his own behavior and talk through that. I'm not talking about manipulation. Manipulation is different and selling is different. Selling is basically helping the person to really understand what's the value to the other person for a particular product or a service or of a story or of a concept, right? So we are salespeople. So as an amiable, it is good in the long run. I will never say that go and try to change it, but flex while working with others, while interacting with others, while communicating with others. Understand other person's style and flex your own behavior to match to their style and then get the objective accomplished, which is in mutual interest to both of you. Okay. So that's question of Rishabh Singh. If I'm amiable, can I be good in startups? Yes. Like I said, any kind of a personality style, any kind of a people style, you will be good. Okay. You can be successful in any role. Okay. Amiables are naturals when it comes to bringing people together, getting things done. They're really feeling oriented people, right? So they can really energize and get everybody together and make things happen. So they are really good when it comes to people skills, interpersonal skills. They can be really very solid. At the same time, what they need support is, they need support from a perspective that some team members should be focused on the results, should be focused on the outcomes and the objectives that needs to be achieved of a startup. Okay, so that is something where they need help. So get those people to help you out and you can be successful in a startup. How can we develop a combination of styles is the question from Birajdar, Annaraj Birajdar. See, combination cannot be there because that will stress you out. If you are trying to do everything, all the styles, you're trying to do it and you're trying to push yourself to do it, you will get stressed out. Like for example, we use two hands. Okay, we have two hands. We use both the hands, but one is a dominant hand. So right hand, some people are right-handed, some people are left-handed. So one is a dominant hand. What does that mean? That means in style, there is a preference that we tend to demonstrate. Okay, for one style or two styles, we tend to demonstrate preference. If we try to do everything by all the four styles, we will get stressed out. We will get de-energized. Our energy level will deplete very fast. Okay, so use your style and continue to move forward with it. But while interacting with others, flex your behavior. I hope that answers you, Annaraj. Very good question. If we are an introvert and amiable, how do we push ourselves out of our comfort zones to get our job done? Fantastic. See, amiables, they can be introverted, they can be extroverted, both. But the most important thing is that you are aware that you are in a comfort zone. When you are in a comfort zone, you need to set goals for yourself, achievable goals, goals which you are motivated and inspired by. So put those goals right in front of me, is my goal sheet, is my to-do list. I always look at it when I sit on this table and I'm working, right? And I see those goals and it reminds me I have to go for it. I have to find time for it. I have to do that, right? So there has to be a constant reminder on your mind. So goal setting is really important if you want to come out of your comfort zone. Also, what you can do is you can take an accountability partner, maybe your friend, your mother, your father, your sibling. They can become an accountability partner. You give them the power to hold you accountable for achieving those goals. That methodology also works really well, right? So that they will help you to push yourself to come out of your comfort zone. So, and if you have more questions, Sai Meenakshi, I would be happy to answer. You can always put on a WhatsApp or on my LinkedIn. We have got 4 minutes remaining. I'm a thinker and I also love to talk to people and hear their opinions. It gives me a new perspective. Okay. It gives me a new perspective on a situation, helps me to create new solutions. Am I still a thinker? Yeah, so it seems like you are more of a blend of a thinker and amiable. That is quite possible. You will have to do a little bit more of introspection and reflection to find out. And there are many other tools, similar tools, which will help you to find out. Okay, by the way, for those who are interested, go ahead and Google for social styles. It's nothing else but the same thing, people styles, and read more. For those who are interested, I've just typed it in the chat box. Okay, one last question. Are masters introvert? Is being an introvert problematic for long run like a job? See, again, guys, there is nothing like problematic. Introvert and extrovert is a choice, right? It's a choice. I'm an introvert, yet I'm a public speaker, yet I'm a trainer. I've been introvert throughout my life. Have I not been successful? I lived and worked. I've handled global positions. I've managed teams across America, Germany, Asia Pacific, across the globe. I've managed teams. I've led those teams. So I've been an introvert throughout my life. Okay, I started as a thinker in my life. I went to flex my behavior and I became more dominant as a master and energizer blend, because in a leadership role, somehow I felt that I required more when I was managing teams across geographies. So the point out here is there is nothing wrong being an introvert. Please try to understand. The only difference between introvert and extrovert is an introvert gets energy. If they have to recharge their batteries, they have to retreat in silence with themselves and recharge their batteries. An extrovert has to go out and play with people, be in a party, be in social life to recharge their batteries. That is what introvert and extrovert is all about, right? How can introverts overcome nervousness in situations like you're addressing in a huge crowd? Practice. Practice makes man perfect. I've practiced throughout my life. My first speech was when I was doing my post-graduation. I was asked to go and present a paper in front of a group. Okay. And I think my time is up. Okay, so again, can we go on to the last slide, ma'am, which gives my contact details over there so people can
sir, sorry to interrupt. Actually, there is a 11:30 to 12:30 break. So I'm sure that students are very much interested in listening to you. So if you want to continue for 5 more minutes, you can, if you are free. Otherwise, we'll wait.
I am free, but I'm just conscious of everyone else's time. So
5 more minutes if you want, you can have, sir. Yeah,
so let's wrap it up, and I will present my WhatsApp number. I put it on the chat. My LinkedIn, you can find by my name, LinkedIn, Vidhu Sharma, with my photograph over there. So we can go on to the last slide, ma'am. Anyways, we are going to go ahead and share this deck with people so they can read it. Most importantly, I wanted to leave you all with a message. People are different, but they are predictably different. Use that predictability to your advantage. Read the styles of the people and develop your social skills. Okay. In China, when I was working over there, I learned one very important things. People are not assessed on how much money they have, how big is their position, but people are assessed based on guanxi, how big is their network, how many people are connected in their network. You know, that is what they are assessed on. And that was a huge learning for me. And I realized that networking is the way to go in life. And so if you develop your social skills, you will be able to build a real solid network. One last point on LinkedIn. That was the question. My opinion is start your LinkedIn now. And how do you connect to people? By appreciating others. Try to connect with big people, you know, who are influencers. Try to follow them, or you can't connect to influencers, but you can connect to your alumni. And what you can do is you can reach out to them by reading their posts and articles and appreciating them. By doing that, they see there is a value that you're bringing onto the table with insights and inputs. So be intelligent about sharing your insights and inputs. That is what will help you to connect with more and more people. Okay, and ask a lot of questions. Get into the forums, start asking a lot of questions, because LinkedIn is a platform where you will learn a lot. And that is what I have been doing, coaching a lot of youngsters, you know, how to really build their LinkedIn profiles, because sometimes I'm surprised they don't have more than 100 people, you know, in their LinkedIn network, whereas they should be having hundreds and hundreds of them. Okay, so if you have any questions on how to really grow your LinkedIn network, I would be more than happy to help you out. How to really develop your interpersonal skills, I would be very happy to help you out. How to become, I normally post a lot on my LinkedIn on leadership excellence and self-excellence, personal excellence. So feel free to read those articles and reach out to me on my WhatsApp or on the LinkedIn chat box. So with that, thank you very much and do stay connected. Back to you guys. Thank you for accommodating me 2 minutes extra.
Thank you so much, sir. We thank Mr. Vidhu Sharma on behalf of SIES Graduate School of Technology for such an insightful session. I'm sure the FEs enjoyed and learned a lot about their interpersonal skills. Exercise in the video which were included in the session helped a lot in understanding the interpersonal skills. We also appreciate you answering the queries which were asked by the students in the comment section. We would love to have you here again on more such informative sessions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So guys, the session would be ending here. You all have been divided into 4 groups, and every group has been given a faculty coordinator. So if you have any questions, ask them the questions in the WhatsApp group. We have a break from 11:30 till 12:30. 12:30 you have to join through the respective group links, which will be provided in your WhatsApp group. So
I'll just
thank you very much, guys.
the faculty coordinators. So for the rest of the day, as he said, you are divided into 4 groups. I'm announcing the faculty coordinator for each group. Please make a note for the same. So for the first group, we have Professor Vijaya Patil. She's a maths faculty in our college, so you have to be in contact with her for any queries. For the second group, we have Professor Kantimati ma'am. She is a physics faculty in our college. For the third group, we have Professor Smita. She is a chemistry faculty in our college. And for the fourth group, we have Professor Pratibha, who's also a maths faculty in our college. So as he said, 11:30 to 12:30, you all have a break. And at 12:30, you will join the link that is shared in your respective WhatsApp groups only. All right.